The Shore Festival. The Apple Cart, a political extravaganza in 2 acts and an interlude by Bernard Shaw, with Peter Barksworth as King Magnus, Nigel Stock as Proteus, Colin Douglas as Boanerges, Elizabeth Spriggs as Lysistrata, Dilys Laye as Amanda, and Prunella Scales as Orinthia.
The Apple Cart. Composition began 5th of November 1928, completed 29th of December 1928. First published in German in 1929, published in English 1930. First presented in Polish in Warsaw in June 1929. First presented in English at the Malvern Festival in August 1929. The Apple Cart is set in the future, at a time when all people now living are dead. An office in the royal palace on a fine summer morning. Pamphilius and Sempronius, the king's secretaries, are working.
What was your father, Sempronius? What was your father?
My father?
Yes, what was he?
A ritualist.
No, I don't mean his religion. I mean his profession and his politics.
He was a ritualist by profession. A ritualist in politics, a ritualist in religion, a raging, emotional, die-hard ritualist right down to his boots.
Do you mean that he was a parson?
Not at all. He was a sort of spectacular artist.
Oh.
He got up pageants and Lord Mayor's shows and military tattoos and big public ceremonies and things like that.
Ah, I see.
Well, he arranged the last 2 coronations. That was how I got my job here in the palace. All our royal people knew him quite well. He was behind the scenes with them.
Behind the scenes, and yet believed they were all real.
Yes, believed in them with all his soul.
Although he manufactured them himself.
Do you suppose a baker cannot believe sincerely in the sacrifice of the Mass or in Holy Communion because he has baked the consecrated wafer himself?
I never thought of that.
My father might have made millions in the theatres and film studios, but he refused to touch them because the things they represented hadn't really happened. He didn't mind doing the christening of Queen Elizabeth in Shakespeare's Henry VIII because that had really happened. It was a celebration of royalty, but not anything romantic. Not though they offered him thousands.
Did you ever ask him what he really thought about it all?
My dear Pam, my father never thought. He didn't know what thought meant, but he could imagine that what he did see was divine and holy and omniscient and omnipotent and eternal and everything that is impossible, if only it looked splendid enough and the organ was solemn enough or the military bands brassy enough.
You mean that he had to get everything from outside?
Exactly. He'd never have felt anything if he hadn't had parents to feel about his childhood and a wife and babies to feel about when he grew up. He'd never have known anything if he hadn't been taught at school. He couldn't amuse himself. He had to pay oceans of money to other people to amuse him with all sorts of ghastly sports and pleasures that would have driven me into a monastery to escape from them. You see, it was all ritual. He went to the Riviera every winter just as he went to church.
Is he still alive? I should like to know him.
Oh, no. He died in 1962 of solitude.
Of solitude? What do you mean? Was he imprisoned?
No. His yacht struck a reef and sank somewhere off the north of Scotland, and he managed to swim to an uninhabited island. All the rest were drowned, and he was not taken off for 3 weeks. When they found him, he was melancholy mad, poor old boy. He never got over it, simply from having no one to play cards with and no church to go to.
My dear Sem, one isn't alone on an uninhabited island. My mother used to stand me on the table and make me recite about it. To sit on rocks, to muse o'er flood and fell, to slowly trace the forest's shady scene, where things that own not man's dominion dwell, and mortal foot hath ne'er or rarely been, to climb the trackless mountain all unseen, with the wild flock that never needs a fold, alone o'er steeps and foaming falls to lean. This is not solitude, 'tis but to hold converse with nature's charms and view her stores unrolled.
Now you have hit the really funny thing about my father. All that about what you call nature didn't exist for him. It had to be something artificial to get at him. Nature to him meant nakedness, and nakedness only disgusted him. He wouldn't look at a horse grazing in a field. But put splendid trappings on it and stick it into a procession, and he just loved it. The same with men and women. They were nothing to him until they were dressed up in fancy costumes and painted and wigged and titled. Think of the horror of that island to him. A void, a place where he was deaf and dumb, and blind and lonely. I should have been as happy as a man in a picture gallery, looking at the dawns and sunsets, the changing seasons, the continual miracle of life ever renewing itself. Who could be dull with pools in the rocks to watch? Yet my father, with all that under his nose, was driven mad by its nothingness. They say that where there is nothing, the king loses his rights. My father found that where there is nothing, a man loses his reason and dies.
Let me add that in this palace, when the king's letters are not ready for him at 12 o'clock, a secretary loses his job.
Yes, and devil take you. Why did you start me talking before I had finished my work? Well, you have nothing to do but pretend to read the newspapers for him. And when you say, "Nothing particular this morning, sir," all he says is, "Thank heaven." But if I missed a note from one of his aunts inviting herself to tea, or a little line from Orinthia the Beloved, marked strictly private and confidential, to be opened by His Majesty alone, I should never hear the end of it. He had 6 love letters yesterday, and all he said when I told him was, "Take them to the Queen." He thinks they amuse her. I believe they make her as sick as they make me.
Do Orinthia's letters go to the Queen?
No, by George. Even I don't read Orinthia's letters. My instructions are to read everything, but I take care to forget to open hers. And I notice that I am not rebuked for my negligence.
I suppose you know...
Oh, shut up, Pam. I shall never get through if you go on talking.
I was only going to say that I suppose...
Something about Orinthia. Don't. If you indulge in supposition on that subject, you will lose your job, old chap. So stow it.
Don't cry out before Orinthia is hurt, young chap. I was going to say that I suppose you know that bull-roarer Boanerges has just been taken into the cabinet as president of the Board of Trade, and that he's coming here today to give the king a piece of his mind, or what he calls his mind, about the crisis.
What does the king care about the crisis? There has been a crisis every 2 months since he came to the throne, but he has always been too clever for them. He'll turn Boanerges inside out before letting him roar the palace down.
Look here, the king has an appointment with me at 11:15. How long more am I to be kept waiting?
Good morning. Mr. Boanerges, I think.
Oh, good morning to you. They say that politeness is the punctuality of kings.
The other way about, Mr. Boanerges. Punctuality is the politeness of kings, and King Magnus is a model in that respect. Your arrival cannot have been announced to His Majesty. I will see about it.
Be seated, Mr. Boanerges.
Nice lot of young upstarts you have in this palace, Mr.
Pamphilius is my name.
Oh, yes, I've heard of you. You're one of the king's private secretaries.
I am. And what have our young upstarts been doing to you, Mr. Boanerges?
Well, I told one of them to tell the king I was here, to look sharp about it. He looked at me as if I were a performing elephant and took himself off.
Young rascals. However, my friend Mr. Sempronius will make it all right for you.
Oh, that was Sempronius, was it? I've heard of him, too.
You seem to have heard of all of us. You'll be quite at home in the palace now that you're a cabinet minister. Oh, by the way, may I congratulate you on your appointment? Or rather, congratulate the cabinet on your accession.
The king. You're very welcome to my little palace, Mr. Boanerges. Won't you sit down?
I am sitting down.
True, Mr. Boanerges, I had not noticed it. Forgive me, force of habit. You'll allow me to be seated?
Oh, sit down, man, sit down. You're in your own house. Ceremony cuts no ice with me.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to meet you at last, Mr. Boanerges. I've followed your career with interest ever since you contested Northampton 25 years ago.
I should just think you have, King Magnus. I made you sit up once or twice, eh?
Your voice has shaken the throne oftener than that.
What about those two? Are they going to overhear everything that passes?
My private secretaries, do they incommode you?
No, they don't incommode me. But you realise I'm going to say things to you that have never been said to a king before.
I'm very glad indeed to hear it, Mr. Boanerges. I thought I'd already heard everything that could possibly be said to a king. I shall be grateful for the smallest novelty.
I warn you, it won't be agreeable. I'm a plain man, Magnus. A very plain man.
Not at all, I assure you.
I'm not alluding to my personal appearance.
Nor was I. Do not deceive yourself, Mr. Boanerges. You're very far from being a plain man. To me, you've always been an enigma.
Well, perhaps I am. A bit of an enigma. Perhaps I am.
I wish I could see through you, Mr. Boanerges, but I've not your sort of cleverness. I can only ask you to be frank with me.
You mean about the crisis? Well, frank is just what I'm here to be. And the first thing I'm going to tell you frankly about is that this country has got to be governed, not by you, but by your ministers.
I shall be only too grateful to them for taking a very difficult and thankless job off my hands.
But it's not on your hands, it's on your ministers' hands. You are only a constitutional monarch. Do you know what they call that in Belgium?
An India rubber stamp, I think, am I right?
You are, King Magnus, an India rubber stamp. That's what you have got to be, and don't you forget it.
Well, yes, that's what we are most of the time, both of us.
What do you mean, both of us?
Well, they bring us papers, we sign. You have no time to read them, luckily for you, but I'm expected to read everything. I do not always agree, but I must sign. There's nothing else to be done.
Nobody will make an India rubber stamp of Bill Boanerges, take that from me.
No, of course not. Is it not curious how people idealize their rulers? In the old days, the king, poor man, was a god, and was actually called God, and worshipped as infallible and omniscient. That was monstrous.
It was silly, just silly.
But was it half so silly as our pretence that he's an India rubber stamp? What man has ever approached either a king or a minister and been able to pick him up from the table and use him as one picks up and uses a piece of wood and brass and rubber? Permanent officials of your department will try to pick you up and use you like that. 19 times out of 20, you will have to let them do it because you cannot know everything. And even if you could, you cannot do everything and be everywhere. But what about the 20th time?
The 20th time, they'll find they're up against Bill Boanerges, eh?
Precisely. The India rubber stamp theory will not work, Mr. Boanerges. The old divine theory worked because there is a divine spark in us all, and the stupidest or worst monarch or minister, if not wholly God, is a bit of a god, an attempt at a god, however little the bit and unsuccessful the attempt. But the India rubber stamp theory breaks down in every real emergency because no king or minister is the very least little bit like a stamp. He's a living soul.
A soul, eh? You kings still believe in that, I suppose.
I find the word convenient. It's short and familiar. But if you dislike being called a soul, let us say that you are animate matter as distinguished from inanimate.
Well, call it a soul, if you like, only not in the superstitious sense. If you understand me.
Perfectly. So you see, Mr. Boanerges, that though we've been dealing with one another for less than 10 minutes, you've already led me into an intellectual discussion which shows that we are something more than a pair of India rubber stamps. You are up against my brains, such as they are.
And you are up against mine.
There can be no doubt of that.
Such as they are.
Well, it's not for me to make that qualification except in my own case. Besides, you have given your proofs. No common man could have risen as you've done. As for me, I'm a king because I was the nephew of my uncle and because my 2 elder brothers died. If I'd been the stupidest man in the country, I should still be its king. I've not won my position by my merits. If I'd been born as you were in the...
in the gutter, out with it. Picked up by a policeman at the foot of Captain Corum's statue. Adopted by the policeman's grandmother. Bless her.
Where should I have been if the policeman had picked me up?
Ah, where? Not, mind you, that you mightn't have done pretty well for yourself. You're no fool, Magnus. I'll say that for you.
You flatter me.
Flatter a king, never, not Bill Boanerges.
Oh, yes, everybody flatters the king. But everybody has not your tact. And, may I say, your good nature.
Perhaps not. Still, I am a Republican, you know.
That is what has always surprised me. Do you really think that any man should have as much personal power as the presidents of the Republican states have? Ambitious kings envy them.
What's that? I don't follow that.
You cannot humbug me, Mr. Boanerges. I see why you are a Republican. If the English people send me packing and establish a republic, no man has a better chance of being the first British president than you.
Oh, I don't say that.
Come, you know it as well as I do. Well, if it happens, you will have 10 times more power than I've ever had. But while the monarchy lasts, mark you, I'm very secure. I escape the dreadful and demoralizing drudgery of electioneering. I've no voters to please. Ministers come and ministers go, but I go on forever. The terrible precariousness of your position.
What's that? How's my position precarious?
Well, the vote may go against you. Yours is a trade union seat, is it not? If the Hydroelectric Workers' Federation throw you over, where would you be?
They won't throw me over. You don't know the workers, Magnus. You've never been a worker. No king on earth is as safe in his job as a trade union official. There's only one thing that can get him sacked. That's drink. Not even that, as long as he doesn't actually fall down. I talk democracy to these men and women. I tell them that they have the vote and that theirs is the kingdom and the power and the glory. I say to them, you are supreme. Exercise your power. They say, that's right. Tell us what to do. And I tell them. I say, exercise your vote intelligently by voting for me. And they do. That's democracy. And a splendid thing it is, too, for putting the right men in the right place.
Magnificent. I've never heard it better described. You certainly have a head on you, Mr. Boanerges.
Yes.
You should write an essay on democracy.
Papa? Papa, I cannot find the address.
No, dear, not now. Go away. Don't you see that I'm particularly engaged with the President of the Board of Trade?
Sorry.
You must excuse my unruly daughter, Mr. Boanerges. May I present her to you? Alice, my eldest girl. Mr. Boanerges, dear.
Oh. Are you the great Mr. Boanerges?
Well, I don't call myself that, you know, but I believe the expression is in use, as you might say. I'm very pleased indeed to make the acquaintance of the Princess Royal.
How do you do?
Well, my dear, you've broken up a most interesting conversation, and to me a most instructive one. But it's no use our trying to go on, Mr. Boanerges. I must go and find what my daughter wants, though I strongly suspect that what she really came in for was to see my wonderful new minister. We shall meet again presently. You know that the Prime Minister is calling on me today with some of his colleagues, including, I hope, yourself, to discuss the crisis.
Yes.
You will excuse us, won't you?
Oh, that's all right. That's quite all right. Well, say what you will, Pamphilius. The king's no fool, not when you know how to handle him.
Of course, that makes all the difference.
And the girl hasn't been spoiled. I was glad to see that. She doesn't seem to know that she's the Princess Royal, eh?
Well, she wouldn't dream of giving herself any airs with you.
What? Isn't she always like that?
Oh, no. It's not everybody who is received as you have been. I hope you have enjoyed your visit.
Well, I pulled Magnus through it pretty well, eh? Don't you think so?
He was very pleased. You have a way with you, Mr. President.
Well, perhaps I have.
A bevy of 5 cabinet ministers enters.
How'd you get on with the king, Bill?
Proteus, the Prime Minister.
Right as rain, Joe. You leave the king to me. I know how to handle him.
Oh, really?
Crassus, Colonial Secretary, elderly and anxious.
If I'd been in the cabinet these last 3 months, there'd have been no crisis.
He put you through it, did he?
Nicobar, Foreign Secretary, snaky and censorious.
What do you mean, put me through it? Is this a police office?
The 3rd degree is not unknown in this palace, my boy.
What?
Pliny, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, good-humoured and conciliatory.
Did the Queen take a hand?
Albus, Home Secretary, rude and thoughtless.
No, but the Princess Alice happened to drop in. She was greatly impressed by the President.
What in hell are you laughing at?
Take no notice of them, Bill. They're only having a bit of fun with you as a newcomer. Come on, lads, enough of fooling. Let's get to business.
We'll leave you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Be seated, gentlemen.
Here.
Now, to start with, do you chaps all fully realise that though we wiped out every other party at the last election and have been in power for the last 3 years, this country has been governed during that time by the king?
I don't see that.
Well, if you don't, Nicobar, then for heaven's sake either resign and get out of the way of men who can see the facts and look them in the face, or else take my job and lead the party yourself.
The worst of you is that you won't face the fact that though you're Prime Minister, you're not God Almighty. The king can't do anything except what we advise him to do. How can he govern the country if we have all the power and he has none?
Don't talk silly, Dick. This India rubber stamp theory doesn't work. What man has ever approached a king or a minister and been able to pick him up from the table and use him as you'd use a bit of wood and brass and rubber? The king's a live man. What more are you, with your blessed advice?
Hello, Bill. You've been having your mind improved by somebody.
What do you mean? Isn't it what I've always said?
Oh, will you stop squabbling? What are we going to say to the king when he comes in? If you'll only hold together and say the same thing, or let me say it, he must give way. But he's as artful as the very devil. He'll have a pin to stick into the seat of every man of you. And if you all start quarrelling and scolding and bawling, which is just what he wants you to do, it'll all end in his having his own way as usual, because one man that has a mind and knows it can always beat 10 men who haven't and don't.
Steady, Prime Minister, you're
Oh,
overwrought.
it's enough to drive a man mad. I'm sorry, Chancellor.
Where's Mandy?
And Lizzie.
Oh, late as usual. Come, business.
Order.
The king is working the press against us. The king is making speeches. Things have come to a head. He said yesterday on the opening of the new Chamber of Commerce building that the king's veto is the only remaining defence of the people against corrupt legislation.
So it is, by jingo. What other defence is there? Democracy? Yeah. We know what democracy is worth. What we need is a strong man.
Yourself, for instance.
I should stand a better chance than you, my lad. If we were a republic and the people could choose, let me tell you that a republican president has more power than the king because the people know they need a strong man to protect them against the rich.
This is a nice thing. 2 Labour papers have leading articles this morning supporting the king. And the latest addition to the cabinet here is a king's man. I resign.
No,
You can't. You must. No use. I resign, I tell you. You can all go to the devil. I've lost my health and almost lost my reason. Trying to keep this cabinet together in the face of the cunningest of enemies a popular government has ever had to face. I've had enough of it. I resign.
But not at such a moment as this. Don't let us swap horses when crossing a stream.
Why not, Crassus, if the horse you've got is subject to hysterics?
Not to mention that he may have more than one horse at your disposal.
Right you are. Perfectly true. Take my job, Nick.
No.
It's vacant for you, Bill. I wish you joy of it.
Now, boys, be good. We can't make a new cabinet before Magnus comes in. You have something in your pocket, Joe.
Huh?
Out with it. Read it to them.
What I was going to propose, and you can take it or leave it, is an ultimatum.
Good, Proteus.
Either he signs this, or...
Or what?
Oh, you make me sick.
You're sick already by your own account. I only ask, suppose he refuses to sign your ultimatum.
You call yourself a cabinet minister and you can't answer that?
No, I can't. I press my question. You said he must sign or. I ask, or what?
Or we resign and tell the country that we cannot carry on the king's government under conditions which destroy our responsibility.
That'll do it. He couldn't face that.
Yes, that'll bunker him.
Is that agreed?
Yes.
I retain an open mind. Let's hear the ultimatum.
Yes, let's hear it.
Memorandum of understanding arrived at...
The king enters with Amanda, postmistress general, a merry lady, and Lysistrata, power mistress general, a grave lady.
Oh, sir.
Welcome, gentlemen. I hope I'm not too early. Am I intruding, Prime Minister?
I protest. It is intolerable. I call a conference of my cabinet to consider our position in regard to the prerogative, and I find the 2 lady members closeted with your majesty, instead of being in their places to confer with me.
You mind your own business, Joe.
Oh, no, really, my dear Lysistrata, you must not take that line. Our business is to meddle in everybody's business. A Prime Minister is a busybody by profession. So is a monarch, so are we all.
Well, they say everybody's business is nobody's business, which is just what Joe's fit for.
This is what I have to put up with when I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Come, Joe, don't make a scene. You asked for it, you know.
What you go provoking Lizzie for like that? You know she has a temper.
There is nothing whatever wrong with my temper, but I'm not going to stand any of Joe's nonsense.
Let us respect ourselves and respect the throne. All this Joe and Bill and Nick and Lizzie, we might as well be hobnobbing in a fried fish shop. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. He isn't Joe. The power mistress isn't Lizzie. She's Lysistrata.
Certainly not Bill. She's Lysistrata. You'd better say Lizzie. It's easier to pronounce.
Lysistrata? A more foolish affectation I never heard. You might as well call me Boanerges.
Shall we sit, ladies and gentlemen? Prime Minister, the word is with you. Why have you all simultaneously given me the great pleasure of exercising your constitutional right of access to the sovereign?
Have I that right, sir, or haven't I?
Most undoubtedly you have.
You hear that, Joe?
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't contradict her, Joe. We shall never get anywhere at this rate. Come to the crisis.
Yes.
Ultimatum. Let's have the ultimatum.
Oh, there's an ultimatum. I gathered from yesterday's evening papers that there's a crisis, another crisis. But the ultimatum is new to me. Have you an ultimatum?
Your Majesty's allusion to the royal veto in a speech yesterday has brought matters to a head.
It was perhaps indelicate, but you all allude so freely to your own powers, to the supremacy of Parliament and the voice of the people and so forth, that I fear I've lost any little delicacy I ever possessed. If you may flourish your thunderbolts, why may I not shoulder my little popgun of a veto and strut up and down with it for a moment?
This is not a subject for jesting.
I'm not jesting, Mr. Nicobar. But I'm certainly trying to discuss our differences in a good-humoured manner. Do you wish me to lose my temper and make a scene?
Oh, please, no, Your Majesty. We get enough of that from Joe.
I protest. I do not lose my temper.
Take care, Prime Minister, take care. Do not let your wily Postmistress General provoke you to supply the evidence against yourself.
I thank Your Majesty for the caution. The Postmistress General has never forgiven me for not making her First Lady of the Admiralty. She has 3 nephews in the Navy.
Oh, you!
Shh, gently, Amanda, gently. 3 very promising lads. They do you credit.
I never wanted them to go to sea. I could have found them better jobs in the post office.
Apart from Amanda's family relations, am I face to face with a united cabinet?
No, sir, you are face to face with a squabbling cabinet. But on the constitutional question, united we stand. Divided we fall.
That is so.
Here.
What is the constitutional question? Do you deny the royal veto, or do you object only to my reminding my subjects of its existence?
What we say is that the king has no right to remind his subjects of anything constitutional except by the advice of the Prime Minister, and in words which he has read and approved.
Which Prime Minister? There are so many of them in the cabinet.
There, serves you all right. Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?
If His Majesty wants a cabinet of dumb dogs, he'll not get it from my party.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid. The variety of opinion in the cabinet is always most instructive and interesting. Who is to be a spokesman today?
Oh, I know Your Majesty's opinion of me, but...
Let me state it, quite frankly. My opinion of you is that no man knows better than you when to speak and when to let others speak for you, when to make scenes and threaten resignations, and when to be as cool as a cucumber.
Well, sir, I hope I'm not such a fool as some fools think me. I may not always keep my temper. You would not be surprised at that if you knew how much temper I have to keep. At this moment, my cue is to show you not my own temper, but the temper of my cabinet. If we are to carry on your government, we cannot have you making speeches that express your own opinions and not ours. We cannot have you implying that everything that is of any value in our legislation is your doing and not ours. We cannot have you telling people that their only safeguard against the political encroachments of big business, whilst we are doing nothing but bungling and squabbling, is your power of veto. It has got to stop once for all. Is that clear?
Far clearer than I've ever dared to make it, Mr. Proteus. Except, by the way, on one point. When you say that all this of which you complain must cease once for all, do you mean that henceforth I am to agree with you, or you with me?
I mean that when you disagree with us, you are to keep your disagreement to yourself.
That would be a very heavy responsibility for me. If I see you leading the nation over the edge of a precipice, may I not warn it?
It is our business to warn it, not yours.
Suppose you don't do your business, Mr. Balbus. Suppose you don't see the danger. That has happened. It may happen again.
But as Democrats, I think we're bound to proceed on the assumption that such a thing cannot happen.
Rot. It's happening all the time. Until somebody has the gumption to put his foot down and stop it.
Oh, yes, I know, but that is not democracy.
Democracy, I have 30 years' experience of democracy, as old most of you. I say no more.
To make democracy work in Crassus's way, we need poverty and hardship.
And we have abolished poverty and hardship. That is why the people trust us. And that is why you will have to give way to us. We have the people of England in comfort, solid middle-class comfort, at our back.
No, we have not abolished poverty and hardship. Our big businessmen have abolished them. But how? By sending our capital abroad to places where poverty and hardship still exist. In other words, where labour is cheap. We live in comfort on the imported profits of that capital.
Well, what more do you want?
You surely don't grudge us our wonderful prosperity, sir?
The more I see of the sort of prosperity that comes of your leaving our vital industries to big businessmen, as long as they keep your constituents quiet with high wages, the more I feel as if I was sitting on a volcano.
Here, here. My department was perfectly able and ready to deal with the supply of power from the tides in the north of Scotland, and you gave it away, like the boobs you are, to the Pentland Firth Syndicate. A gang of foreign capitalists who'll make billions out of it at the people's expense, while we're bungling and squabbling.
No.
Crassus worked that. His uncle is chairman.
Oh, a lie, a flat lie. He's not related to me. He's only my stepson's father-in-law.
I demand an explanation of the words bungling and squabbling. We've had quite enough of them here today now. Who are you getting at? It was not I who bungled the factory bill.
No.
I found it on my desk when I took office, with all His Majesty's suggestions in the margin. And you know it.
Have you all done playing straight into His Majesty's hands and making my situation here impossible? The question before us is not one of our manners and our abilities. His Majesty will not press that question, because if he did, he would oblige us to raise the question of his own morals.
What?
Good Joe.
That's got him. Am I to take that threat seriously, Mr. Proteus?
If you try to prejudice what is a purely constitutional question by personal scandal, it'll be easy enough for us to throw your mud back. In this conflict, we are the challengers. You have the choice of weapons. If you choose scandal, we'll take you on at that. Personally, I shall deplore it if you do. No good will come out of washing our dirty linen in public, but don't make any mistake as to what will happen. Now, I'll be plain with you. I'll dot the I's and cross the T's. You will say that Crassus is a jobber. Sit down, leave this to me.
I am jobber.
You will say that I should never have given the Home Office to a bully like Balbus.
Oh, look here, Joe.
You shut up, Bert. It's true. Well, what will happen? There'll be no denials, no excuses, no vindications. We shall not fall into that trap, clever as you are at setting it. Oh, no. Crassus will say, just simply, that you are a free thinker. And Balbus will say that you are a libertine. Now, King Magnus, our cards are on the table. What have you to say?
Admirably put. People ask how it is that with all these strong characters around, you hold your own as the only possible Prime Minister, in spite of your hysterics and tantrums, your secretiveness, your appalling laziness.
Yeah. You're getting it now, Joe, eh?
But when the decisive moment comes, they find out what a wonderful man you are.
I'm not a wonderful man. There's not a man or woman here whose job I could do as well as they do it. I am Prime Minister for the same reason that all Prime Ministers have been Prime Ministers. Because I'm good for nothing else. But I can keep to the point when it suits me. And I can keep you to the point, sir, whether it suits you or not.
At all events, you do not flatter kings, and one of them at least is grateful to you for that.
Oh, kings, as you and I very well know, rule their ministers by flattering them.
But what interest has a king in flattering a subject?
Suppose she's a good-looking woman, sir.
Suppose he has a lot of money and the king's hard up.
Suppose he is a Prime Minister, and you can do nothing except by his advice.
Ah, there you've hit the nail on the head. Well, I suppose I must surrender. I'm beaten. You're all too clever for me.
Well, nothing could be fairer than that.
You're a gentleman, sir. We shan't rub it in, you know.
Ever the best of friends, and the last to kick a man when he's down.
I may be a jobber, but nobody shall say that I am an ungenerous opponent.
Should old acquaintance be and never brought to mind.
Are you all drunk? You are at present engaged in a tug-of-war with the king, the tug of your lives. You think you have won. You have not. All that has happened is that the king has let go of the rope, and you're sprawling on your backs, and he's laughing at you. Look at him.
Come to my rescue, Amanda. It was you who set me off.
You got me so nicely, sir. Bill, you are a great boo.
I don't understand this. I understood His Majesty to give way to us in, I must say, the handsomest manner. Can't we take our victory like gentlemen?
Perhaps I'd better explain. I quite appreciate the frank and magnanimous spirit, may I say the English spirit, in which my little concession has been received, especially by you, Mr. Boanerges. But in truth, it leaves matters just where they were. For I should never have dreamt of entering on a campaign of recrimination such as the Prime Minister suggested. As he's reminded you, my own character's far too vulnerable. A king is not allowed the luxury of a good character. Our country has produced millions of blameless greengrocers, but not one blameless monarch. Every king is supposed to be a libertine, and, as oddly enough, he owes a great part of his popularity to this belief. He cannot deny it without deeply disappointing his subjects.
Your Majesty's private affairs do not concern us in any case.
Excuse me.
Well, I hope Your Majesty recognises that kings are not the only people to whom certain sorts of mud always stick, no matter what fool throws them. Call a minister a jobber.
Or a bungler.
Oh, yes, or a bungler. And everybody believes it. Jobbery and incompetence are the two sorts of mud that stick to us, no matter how honest or capable we are. And we haven't the royal advantage that you enjoy, that the more the ladies take away your character, the better the people like you.
Prime Minister, will you tell me what the Postmistress General is sniggering at?
This is a free country, Bill. A sense of humour is not a crime. And when the king is not setting me off, you are.
Where's the joke? I don't see it.
If you could see a joke, Bill, you wouldn't be the great popular orator you are.
Thank heaven. I'm not a silly giggler like some I could mention.
Thanks, dearest Bill. Now, Joe, don't you think you've let us run loose long enough? What about that ultimatum?
You traitor, Amanda.
Sorry, sir.
I'm in no hurry. His Majesty's speeches are very wise and interesting, and your back chat amuses both you and him. But the ultimatum is here all the time, and I shall not leave this room until I have His Majesty's signed pledge that its conditions will be observed.
What are its terms?
First, no more royal speeches.
What, not even if you dictate them?
Not even if we dictate them. Your Majesty has a way of unrolling the manuscript and winking.
Winking?
You know what I mean. The best speech in the world can be read in such a way as to set the audience laughing at it. And we've had enough of that, so in future no speeches.
A dumb king.
Ah, well, of course we cannot object to such speeches as, we declare this foundation stone well and truly laid, and so forth. But, politically, yes, a dumb king.
A constitutional king.
A dumb king.
What next?
The working of the press from the palace backstairs must cease.
You know I have no control of the press. The press is in the hands of men much richer than I.
Oh, we know that. But though these men are richer than you, they're not cleverer. They get amusing articles, spiced with exclusive backstairs information that don't seem to them to have anything to do with politics.
Am I supposed to write these articles?
Your man Sempronius does. I can spot his fist out of 50 columns.
So can I. When he's getting at me, he always begins a sentence with singularly enough.
That's his trademark, singularly enough.
Is there to be any restriction on the other side? I've noticed, for instance, that in a certain newspaper, which loses no opportunity of disparaging the throne, the last sentence of the leading article almost invariably begins with the words, once for all. Whose trademark is that?
Mine.
Frank, Mr. Proteus.
Oh, I know when to be frank. I learnt the trick from Your Majesty. Now, His Majesty asks whether the restriction on press campaigning is to be entirely one-sided. That, I take it, is your question, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is in the affirmative.
Good.
Anything more?
Yes. One more thing. The veto must not be mentioned again. And that can apply to both sides, if you like. The veto is dead.
May we not make a historical reference to the corpse?
No. I cannot carry on the King's government unless I can give pledges and carry them out. What is my pledge worth if our constituents are reminded every day that the King may veto anything the Parliament does? Do you expect me to say when I'm asked for a pledge, you must ask the King?
Well, I have to say you must ask the Prime Minister.
That's the Constitution, you know.
Quite. I only mention it to show that the Prime Minister does not really wish to kill the veto. He only wishes to move it next door.
The people live next door. The name on the brass plate is public opinion.
Admirably turned, Mr. Prime Minister. But unreal. I'm far more subject to public opinion than you, because, thanks to the general belief in democracy, you can always pretend that what you do is done by the will of the people, who, God knows, never dreamt of it and would not have understood it if they had. Whereas, for what a king does, he and he alone is held responsible. A demagogue may steal a horse, where a king dare not look over a hedge.
I doubt if that is any longer true, sir. I know that I get blamed for everything that goes wrong in my department.
Ah, but what a despot you are, Lysistrata.
Indeed.
Granted, however, that the people have found out long ago that democracy is humbug, and that instead of establishing responsible government, it has abolished it. Do not see what this means.
Steady, steady. I cannot sit here and listen to such a word as humbug being applied to democracy. I'm sorry, sir. But with all respect for you, I really must draw the line at that.
You're right, Mr. Boanerges, as you always are. Democracy is a very real thing, with much less humbug about it than many older institutions. But it means not that the people govern, but that the responsibility and the veto now belong neither to kings nor demagogues as such, but to whoever is clever enough to get them.
Yourself, sir, for example.
I think I'm in the running. That is why I do not feel bound to accept this ultimatum. By signing it, I shall put myself out of the running. Why should I?
Because you were the king. That's why.
Does it follow?
If two men ride the same horse, one must ride behind.
Which?
What was that you said?
I said which. You said that if two men rode the same horse, one of them must ride behind. I said which. Which man must ride behind?
Got it, Joe?
That is exactly the question that has to be settled here and now.
Once for all.
I will not stand this perpetual tomfoolery. I'd rather be a dog than the Prime Minister of the country, where the only things the inhabitants can be serious about are football and refreshments. Lick the king's boots. That's all you're fit for.
You've done it now, Mandy. Hope you're proud of yourself.
It is you, Amanda, who should go and coax him back. But I suppose I must do it myself, as usual. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
I told you what would come of conducting a conference with His Majesty if it were a smoking concert. I'm disgusted.
We just cornered the old fox. Then Amanda must have a silly laugh and lets him out of it.
What are we to do now? That's what I want to know.
I suggest a little community singing.
Oh, take it easy, friends. Joe knows what he's about.
Of course he does. I can excuse you, Bill, because it's your first day in the cabinet. But if the rest of you haven't found out by this time that Joe's rages are invariably calculated, then nothing will ever teach you anything.
Well, madam, I know I'm a newcomer. Everything must have a beginning. I am open to argument and conviction. The Prime Minister brought this conference, in what I admit was a very able and resolute manner, to the verge of a decision. Then, in a fit of childish temper, he breaks up the conference, leaving us looking like fools, with nothing done. And you tell me he did it on purpose. Where was the advantage to him in such a display? Answer me that.
He's settling the whole business with the king behind our backs. That is what Joe always contrives to do by hook or crook.
You didn't arrange it with him, Mandy, did you?
Oh, there wasn't any need to arrange it. Joe can always depend on one or other of us saying something that will give him an excuse for flying out.
In my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, we've done our bit and may leave the rest to Joe. Matters have reached a point at which it was yes or no between the Cabinet and the Crown. There's only one sort of committee that is better than a committee of two. That is a committee of one. Like the family in Wordsworth's poem, we are 7.
8.
Well, 7 or 8. We were too many for the final grapple. 2 persons sticking to the point are worth 8 all over the shop. So my advice is that we just sit here quietly until Joe comes back and tells us what's been settled. Oh, yeah, perhaps Amanda will oblige with a song?
Oh, the king.
The Prime Minister has been good enough to pursue the discussion with me in private to a point at which the issue is now clear. If I do not accept the ultimatum, I shall receive your resignations and his, and the country will learn from his explanatory speech in the House of Commons that it is to choose between cabinet government and monarchical government. An issue on which I frankly say that I should be very sorry to win, as I cannot carry on without the support of a body of ministers whose existence gives the English people a sensation of self-government.
Shut up, you.
Naturally, I want to avert a conflict in which success would damage me and failure disable me. But you tell me that I can do so only by signing pledges which would make me a mere Lord Chamberlain, without even the despotism which he exercised over the theatre. How am I to defend myself? You are many, I oppose you single-handed. There was a time when the king could depend on the support of the aristocracy and the cultivated bourgeoisie. Today, there's not a single aristocrat left in politics, not a single member of the professions, not a single leading personage in big business or finance. Not one of them will touch this drudgery of government, this public work that never ends because we cannot finish one job without creating 10 fresh ones. We get no thanks for it because 99 hundredths of it is unknown to the people, and the remaining hundredth is resented by them as an invasion of their liberty or an increase in their taxation. It wears out the strongest man and even the strongest woman in 5 or 6 years. And this drudgery, remember, is a sweated trade, the only one now left in this country. My civil list leaves me a poor man among multimillionaires. Your salaries can be earned 10 times over in the city by anybody with outstanding organising or administrative ability. Our work is no longer even respected. It is looked down on by our men of genius as dirty work. What great actor would exchange his stage? What great barrister his court? What great preacher his pulpit for the squalor of the political arena in which we have to struggle with foolish factions in Parliament and with ignorant voters in the constituencies? Politics, once the centre of attraction for ability, public spirit, and ambition, has now become the refuge of a few fanciers of public speaking and party intrigue, who find all the other avenues to distinction closed to them, either by their lack of practical ability, their comparative poverty and lack of education, or, and let me hasten to add, their hatred of oppression and injustice, and their contempt for the chicaneries and false pretences of commercialized professionalism. Do not misunderstand me. I do not want the old governing class back. It governed so selfishly that the people would have perished if democracy had not swept it out of politics. But evil as it was, in many ways, at least it stood above the tyranny of popular ignorance and popular poverty. Today, only the king stands above that tyranny. You are dangerously subject to it. I stand for the future and the past, for the posterity that has no vote, and the tradition that never had any. I stand for the great abstractions, for conscience and virtue, for the eternal against the expedient, for the evolutionary appetite against the day's gluttony, for intellectual integrity, for humanity, for the rescue of industry from commercialism and of science from professionalism, for everything that you desire as sincerely as I, but which in you is held in leash by the press, who can organize against you the ignorance and superstition, the timidity and credulity, the gullibility and prudery, the hating and hunting instinct of the voting mob, and cast you down from power if you utter a word to alarm or displease the adventurers who have the press in their pockets. Between you and that tyranny stands the throne. Think of the things that you dare not do, the persons you dare not offend. Well, a king with a little courage may tackle them for you. Responsibilities which would break your backs may still be borne on a king's shoulders, but he must be a king, not a puppet. You would be responsible for a puppet, remember that. But whilst you continue to support me as a separate and independent estate of the realm, I am your scapegoat. You get the credit of all our popular legislation, whilst you put the odium of all our resistance to ignorant popular clamour on me. I ask you, therefore, before you play your last card and destroy me, to consider where you will be without me. Think once, think twice. For your danger is not that I may defeat you, but that your success is certain, if you insist.
Splendid!
You did speak that piece beautifully, sir.
All very well. But what about my brother-in-law, Mike?
Mike? Oh, confound your brother-in-law, Mike. Oh, I beg your pardon, sir, but really, at a moment like this...
If I have not put my foot down, Mr. Balbus, The Prime Minister would have been unable to keep your brother-in-law out of the cabinet.
And why should he not be in the cabinet?
Booze, my Balby, booze. Raising the elbow.
Who says so?
I do, darling.
Well, perhaps it would surprise you to know that Mike doesn't drink as much as I do.
You carry it better, Bert.
Mike never knows when to stop.
Well, the time for Mike to stop is before he begins, if you ask me.
What sort of animals are you, you men? The king puts before us the most serious question of principle we shall ever have to deal with, and off you start discussing whether this drunken wretch takes honest whisky like Balbus, or methylated spirits, or petrol, or whatever he can lay his hands on when the fit takes him.
I agree with that. What does it matter what Mike drinks? What does it matter whether he drinks or not? Mike would strengthen the cabinet because he represents Breakages Limited, the biggest industrial corporation in the country.
Just so. Breakages Limited, just so. Now listen to me, sir, and judge whether I have not reason to feel everything you've just said to the very marrow of my bones. Here am I, the Power Mistress Royal. I have to organise and administer all the motor power in the country for the good of the country. I have to harness the winds and the tides, the oils and the coal seams, and I do it. But it costs twice as much as it should. Why? Because every new invention is bought up and suppressed by Breakages Limited.
Rubbish.
Every breakdown, every accident, every smash and crash is a job for them. But for them, we should have unbreakable glass, unbreakable steel, imperishable materials of all sorts. But for them, our goods trains could be started and stopped without battering and tearing the vitals out of every wagon and sending it to their repair shops once a week instead of once a year. Our national repair bill runs up to hundreds of millions. I could name you a dozen inventions within my own term of office which would have effected enormous economies in breakages and breakdowns. But these people can afford to pay an inventor more for his machine or his process or whatever it may be than he could hope to make by legitimate use of it. And when they've bought it, they smother it. When the inventor is poor and not good at defending himself, they make bogus trials of his machine and report that it's no use. I have been shot at twice by inventors driven crazy by this sort of thing. They blame me for it, as if I could stand up against this monster with its millions and its newspapers and its fingers in every pie. It's heartbreaking. I love my department. I dream of nothing but its efficiency. With me it comes before every personal tie, every happiness that common women run after. But what can I do? If I said one word of this in public, not a week would pass in the next 2 years without an article on the inefficiency and corruption of all government departments, especially departments managed like mine by females. But if I attempt to fight them, I shall be hounded out of public life, and they'll shove mouldy Mike into the cabinet to run my department in their interests. That is, to make such a failure of it that Joe will have to sell it to Breakages Limited and scrap iron prices. Oh, it's beyond bearing.
You hear that, sir? Your one supporter in the cabinet admits that the industrial situation is too strong for it. And I do not pretend to be able to control the women in my cabinet, but not one of them dare support you.
What's that? Not dare? What do you bet that I don't go down to Mouldy Mike's constituency, yes, and say everything that Lizzie has said, and a lot more too, if I choose? I tell you, Breakages Limited never interferes in my department. I'd like to catch them at it.
I'm afraid that is only because the efficiency of the post office is as important to them as to the general public.
Stuff! They could get rid of me without shutting the post office. They're afraid of me, Amanda Postlethwaite.
You coax them, I'm afraid.
Coax? What do you think they care for coaxing? They can have all the coaxing they want from younger and prettier women than I by paying for it. No use trying to coax that lot. Intimidate them. That's the way to handle them.
I wish I could intimidate them.
But what can Amanda do that you cannot do?
I'll tell you. She can't mimic people, and she can't sing funny songs. I can do both, and that, with all respect, sir, makes me the real Queen of England.
Oh, come. Disgraceful. Shame!
If you provoke me, Bill, I'll drive you out of your constituency inside of 2 months.
Oh, you will you? How?
Just as I drove the chairman of Breakages out of my own constituency when he came down there and tried to take my seat from me.
I never quite understood why he turned tail. How did you do it?
I'll tell you. He opened his campaign with a great Saturday night speech against me in the Home Lovers' Hall to 5,000 people. In that same hall a week later, I faced a meeting of the very same people. I didn't argue. I mimicked him. I took all the highfalutin passages in his speech and repeated them in his best manner till I had the whole 5,000 laughing at him. Then I asked them, would they like me to sing? And their yes nearly lifted the roof off. I had 2 songs. They both had choruses. One went, she lets me go out on a Saturday night, on Saturday night, on Saturday night, like that. The other went, boo-hoo, I want a man's teddy bear to play with. They sang it under the windows of his hotel next time he came. He cancelled his meeting and left. And that's how England is governed by yours truly, sir. Lucky for England that Queen Amanda is a good sort, in spite of some surface faults.
Lucky for England there's only one of you, that's what I say.
Should not the Queen support the King, Your Majesty?
Sorry, sir, but there isn't room for 2 monarchs in my realm. I am against you on principle, because the talent for mimicry isn't hereditary.
No. Anybody else? We've heard why the 2 ladies cannot support the king. Is there anybody who can?
I see that my appeal has been in vain. I do not reproach you, ladies and gentlemen, because I perceive that your situation is a difficult one. The question is how to change it.
Sign the ultimatum. That is how.
I'm not quite convinced of that. The Home Secretary's brother-in-law was quite willing to sign the pledge of total abstinence if I would admit him to the cabinet. His offer was not accepted because, though none of us doubted that he would sign the pledge, we were not equally certain that the infirmities of his nature would allow him to keep it. My nature is also subject to infirmity. Are you satisfied, Mr. Proteus, that if I sign this ultimatum, I shall not inevitably relapse into the conduct that my nature dictates?
What is the use of going on like this? You're like a man on the scaffold, spinning out his players to put off the inevitable execution as long as possible. Nothing that you can say will make any difference. You know you must sign. Well, why not sign and have done with it?
Now you're talking, Joe.
Gulp it down, sir. Won't get any sweeter by keeping, what?
Oh, for God's sake, sign, sir. This is torture to me.
I perceive, gentlemen, that I've come to the end of your patience. I'll tax it no further. You've been very forbearing, and I thank you for it. I'll say no more by way of discussion. But I must have until 5 o'clock this evening to consider my decision. At that hour, if I can find no other way out, I will sign without another word. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, au revoir.
Here's last wriggle. Never mind. We have him safe enough. Now, what about lunch? I'm starving. Lizzie, will you have lunch with me?
Don't speak to me.
Oh, poor darling Lizzie. She's a regular old true blue diehard. If only I had her brains and education. Or if she had my variety talent, what a queen she'd make. Like old Queen Elizabeth, eh? Well, don't grieve, Joe. I'll lunch with you since you're so pressing.
Have you 2 been listening, may I ask, Mr. Pamphilius?
Well, it would be rather inconvenient, wouldn't it, if we had to be told everything that passed?
Once for all, Mr. Proteus, the King's private secretaries must hear everything, see everything, and know everything.
Singularly enough, Mr. Sempronius, I haven't the slightest objection.